Would you look at that? Another week, another thing fans are upset about. What's up, degenerates? It's the disc golf world. I'm Jefferson, and with me, the one with all the holes in his game, Swiss Cheese. Recapping everything you need to know from the Croal Open, which had fans making posts like these. What possibly could have ruined the moods of disc golf fans all over, saying things like dumb, boring, and needing change? How about we waste no time and jump straight into the action? That hole one Ezra Robinson ace made its way not only on Friday night's rendition of SportsCenter, but landed on the #1 spot. Too bad that still wasn't enough to change the perception of washed-up high school athletes in the comments. For those wondering why Matty O dropped out this weekend, it appears that he's battling some sort of finger injury, but will be back in no time. Shout out Disc Golf World's unofficial field reporter Casey White's fiance for the info. Krokhol is currently the #1 course in the world and has tons of other accomplishments I'm sure they'll make sure to let you know. But the real question is, how would the best disc golfers in the world handle it? After the first round, scores were tight. Finding himself on top of the leaderboard was Benjamin Callaway putting together a clean 9 under and a stroke lead. He would extend that to 3 following up another hot round only matched by Maury Villemin, who jumped up 30 spots into 8th place. He needed that one after a slow start to the tournament. How else was he supposed to show off that bright-ass shirt on Championship Sunday? Along with a stacked lead card and Jacob Blair. No disrespect, dude completely balled out and kept pace. His best finish on the Pro Tour before this was 30th at the Northwest Disc Golf Championship. Oh, and he's not even fully on tour. Major props for holding his own for most of the round, and if it wasn't for hole 17, he would have snagged a top 10. Still, there's nothing to be upset about after that performance. Okay, back to the people that were actually in contention. Many questioned if Callaway was going to be able to hold off the field. In all the doubters' faces, he started off strong with a birdie extending his lead. Lori Lightnin settled for a par, and Ricky, well, he had a harder time. Had an unfortunate roll on his putt that ended OB, and he wasn't able to make the bogey putt, starting his round with a 3-stroke swing from the lead. Callaway's drive on hole 2 found him pitching out and trying to save par. Lori was able to flex a forehand into bullseye to get a stroke on Ben. Taking the box, Lightning would launch past the basket, but it doesn't matter as Callaway hit an early tree, forced again to pitch out, this time walking away with a bogey and losing another stroke. The lead card made easy work of hole 4, the scariest birdie coming from Ben but snuck over the top of the cage. First couple holes, it appears from the outside that the nerves are affecting Callaway. Didn't stop on hole 5 as he would find himself deep in the trees with no look of getting out. Hits the branches right in front of his face, but with a good putt, save par. Lori played the hole as perfect as it gets for the no-stress birdie, now only 1 stroke back of the lead, heading to hole 6. Both Lightnin and Callaway's drives landed in about the same spot. Ben would be up first, and after a good-looking putt, would somehow pop out, losing a stroke and the lead now to Lori. What do you guys think? Was that a spit out? I'm sure Kyle Klein would say so. He made this post after round 1 about the Disc Golf Park baskets that, yes, happened to be sold by his sponsor. But to everyone upset at Klein because his sponsor gives him this opportunity to play disc golf for a living, screw that with how they've treated the US champ. Way more disrespectful than any spit out from those shitty baskets. Can't say that when you guys hit the cage though. Troubles didn't stop after watching Lori miss a circle 1 putt for birdie. Ben misses his, losing the lead for the first time. Wouldn't take long for the door to open again. On his approach, Lightnin found the rough, having to navigate around the trees, setting up a long par save that would splash the right side chains, but didn't have enough to stick. Tied back at 19 under, Callaway would, how do I say this lightly, absolutely choked. Lightnin took complete advantage, parking hole 9 for birdie, taking back the lead immediately. A quick score check now, and Maury Villemin and Jacob Semrad also found themselves in the mix after being 6 down through 9 apiece. Hole 10 might just be one of my favorite shots on the property. A huge hyzer over the trees onto the small green. Lori's shot had too much speed, skipping OB. Ben's, on the other hand, slowed up just in time, and guess what? We're tied again. Just like myself, wouldn't last too long. Ben found himself, well, here. Not sure where that is, but I know it ain't good. But as Simon Lizotte says, sometimes you need a bogey, and this might be one of those times. Hole 12, Ben had a long look. Didn't matter as he nailed the birdie. You can see the basket on hole 13, and now you can see Callaway's disc right next to the basket. The momentum had completely swung in Ben's favor, and it looked like the groove was back for the end of the round. I spoke too soon, going OB off his drive way early and couldn't save par. Laurie, on the other hand, put himself in position to birdie and would complete the 3-stroke swing. All of a sudden, back in first. Just look at that leaderboard. I don't even know what to focus on because so much shit is happening. This was at the point of the round where basically everyone on social media was hoping for an 8-person playoff, but slowly they would all start dropping like flies, mostly due to hole 16. Laurie with the lead would unfortunately find the water. Capitalizing on that, Callaway parked the shot for birdie. It would get worse as Laurie wouldn't make the putt and took a double bogey. Things did not slow up on hole 17. Laurie would take another bogey, this one followed by Ben, who better have kissed that tree for saving his tournament life. Can someone please explain to me how that happened? Out of nowhere, like a Thomas Gilbert cameo, Ricky Wysocki would be tied for the lead. How the hell did that happen? Never mind, spoke too soon again. Callaway would secure the birdie on hole 18 for a 22 under and a 3-way tie in first place with Villman and Semerad. They would head back up the hill for a playoff, and this is where fans had opinions, and oh boy, they were not afraid to share them. On paper, it was probably a good idea to play 18 on repeat, but in reality, it was the second most birdied hole of the tournament, and really only asks for a couple of hyzers. In other words, it was boring. Took out all the excitement we just experienced because they had to replay the hole over 5 times, which includes a golf cart ride up the hill every time. For some, that is. Shout out the real MVPs of the weekend, the camera guys, who turned into cross-country stars on that big-ass hill. I think it was about the 4th time going up that there was questioning if the TD needed to make a switch. No way they can make that decision mid-tourney, especially not with a $4,000 pay jump. Gonna need a lot more money than that to change holes. Not the first time I've heard that one this week. This then brought up the idea of how are playoffs not standardized. And all I gotta say is, at least it's not an aggregate one. But for real, I don't have an issue with allowing the tournament to choose the process. Some courses there are holes that need to be played, and I get it. This time, it was just not thought through all the way. But I'm sure this will be taken as a learning experience and won't happen again. Although Sarah Hokum does make a point that this is not the first time that playing 18 on repeat has been an issue. I mean, we already saw it earlier this year at the Supreme Flight Open. To the credit of the tournament staff, they have more to think about than just play. Hole 18 was already lined with 99% of the attendance. Were they expected to just run around the course? What about the final scores table, trophy ceremony, interviewing the winner? They had a lot to orchestrate that was probably planned around the finish being at a specific spot. And they most likely thought someone would be man enough to run the eagle for the win. So is it really their fault? We did get some creative twists on coverage trying to keep it interesting that I will say were pretty fun. From other pros becoming commentators or Brian Earhart trying to fit in random phrases for the Reddit fans. Let us know how you feel in the comments. Was it boring or were you entertained by the endurance of hyzers? Halfway through, I was rooting for it to go all night so they could whip out the glow discs. I wouldn't be upset about a blind putt-off or opposite hand showdown either. On the 5th attempt of hole 18, Jakub's putt would leak right and fall to the ground. Big shout out to all the way Callaway for taking down his first win on tour. Ben is someone who absolutely deserves it from the amount of hard work and dedication he's given to the sport. Another emotional win, and would you look at that, another for Discraft 2. Now Swiss, hit the people with the FPO recap.
Far too much time will be spent on that Kristen Krokhol putting performance, and who can blame them, as she put up some henna stat lines from C1X. Instead, a couple of European debut performances stole the show and made an even bigger statement. So let's just start off there. Cadence Burge, fresh off her Discmania, not Des Moines victory, took the leap to travel abroad for her first European tour, landing in Norway for the Croal Open, where she headed into the back half, even for the round, only for her to finish with 7 straight birdies on the final 7 holes. 4 of which belong in the top 5 hardest on the day. That had her heading into the clubhouse, leading in her first European stop ever. Right behind her, on feature card with her own debut, was Holland Handley, who started her front half 7 under. Reminding everyone, she's still one of, if not the top talent in the FPO, and still a major player in what will shape up in the upcoming weeks. All by taking such a commanding lead early on in the field. But she would end up struggling on the back half, finding OB 4 times and finish the round 6 under, allowing Cadence an early 1-stroke lead. Despite those two looking as strong as they did and leading the event, all the talk was still on Kristen's putting, and after it looked like it wouldn't improve early in round 2, forcing the charge from a European player would need to come elsewhere. And Silva Saarinen would provide that answer, popping off like a hacked Elmo X account, shooting 7 under on day 2 and tying Holland at 11 under, as she put on a putting clinic from both circles. Despite another difficult back half for Handley, her and Silva separated from the pack a full 6 strokes ahead of the next competitor, as everyone anticipated a final day clash. Silva would come out early, gaining a 2-stroke lead after the first 3 holes, but the two would find themselves tied heading into the back half after birdies by Holland on 7 and 8. Holland's struggles on the back half had her combined for a 1 over. That's after 7 total OB strokes, 6 bogeys, and another double that combined over the first 2 rounds. Silva, on the other hand, during that same span only had a single bogey and 1 OB stroke. Well, funny enough, Holland would be the one that would end up playing clean, and Silva would throw OB 4 times, and after 16's 2-putt that led to a double, it would already be over as Holland cruised to a victory. And the only thing that made it worse for Silva was a bogey on 18. That not only cost her money, but lost her a solo second place. Those of you wondering why I left off Cadence completely off of day 2, that's because she went 5 over on the day and dropped a chase card, only for her to put together the hot round of the weekend, a 9 under that put her tied at 11 with Ella Hansen and, you know it, Silva. Another podium finish, her 4th straight at an Elite Series event, which all leads to Burge possibly peaking at the right moment heading into back-to-back majors. After Kristen Lott finished off the podium, this time with a 43 C1X putting percentage, and no, that's not the round, but that's for the entire event, missing 16 total, 7 alone for the final round. This performance, combined with her latest, has everyone breaking the glass to hit the panic button as disc golf heads to Estonia, her home nation, for a major. Add that this latest victory by Holland also separates her from Kristen, giving her now 4 Elite Series wins on the season, which is the most on the year and 1 more than Lott. And it coming at her first event in Europe gives her and most of the fans the confidence heading into the next major, which is shaping up to be more and more intriguing. And that's not just because of Kristen's poor performance. Instead, a far stronger field looks to have the most parity atop the leaderboard in the FPO that the sport hasn't seen in some years, where Kristen Lott may not just be the betting favorite anymore. Possible good sign for things to come.
And that's everything you need to know from the Croal Open. This weekend, the second major of the year is here, and we'll make sure to keep you updated on anything and everything that you need to know. That's what we're here for, after all. Just make sure to subscribe and turn those notifications on. Then you won't miss out on a new episode of The Spit Out, Disc Golf World's podcast that comes out every Tuesday. Or if you want a complete unfiltered version where Swiss and I say basically anything that's on our mind, head over to the Patreon.